come along with me today on the Small Business Vlog. We've been discussing the 10 mistakes that I made to cause my business to fail, and we're talking about mistake number 10. I'm bringing you behind the scenes in this small business vlog as I sit down at my desk, not just to write a to-do list, but to start building something different this time. Because tracking isn't just about tasks, it's about honoring the journey, learning from it, and moving forward. If you've ever felt like you're rebuilding your life or business after failure, grab your favorite notebook because we're doing this together. Come along with me while we do some planning and discuss mistake number 10 that I made in my business that caused my business to fail. So what I want to do today is I need to do a little bit of planning. You guys know that I'm going to be releasing physical products soon. And so I have a lot of planning that I need to do to redo the website and make some changes and make changes according to the mistakes that we've been discussing. So we've done a little bit of that on this channel with you guys who came along with me yesterday while we did some screen shares to change some product descriptions and things like that on the website. And so I have a long list of other things I need to do along those lines. And so what I'm doing right now is I am making a to-do list for those items so that I don't forget what I need to do, so that when I'm ready to release the physical items, the website and everything are ready in terms of the changes. And so that's what I'm doing today. We'll talk a little bit more about what I'm doing because I know it looks crazy right now, but we'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later. But right now I want to get into the number 10 thing, the 10th mistake that I made that caused my business to fail. This has been part of our 10 mistakes series. Today, number 10 is the last mistake. So we will be moving on to a different series tomorrow. But number 10 is not tracking my progress. In business, you have to make a lot of pivots and a lot of changes, and things move quickly. And so what I will normally do is I do to-do lists almost every day of things I need to do and things that I want to plan and things like that. I'm a very big planner and I do a lot of to-do lists. But what I have found is that I will do those lists and then cross everything off and then throw it away. And so what I have tried to start doing is I've tried to not do that, to really track my progress, because that's what the mistake that I made is that I made a lot of pivots, a lot of changes, did a lot of things. But even though I spent a lot of time planning to do those things, I didn't spend a lot of time reflecting to say, okay, what went well, what went poorly, what kind of adjustments should I make, and those kinds of things. And when we did that exercise, looking at the YouTube analytics, that really opened my eyes that the fact that had I been able to do that previous, I would have been able to make changes, that would have been a lot more helpful sooner. But it's the same thing in my business. I have been running this business for a really long time, and it has been unsuccessful so far. And a lot of that is because I have made so many changes. But if I really went back to say what worked, what didn't work, I never did that. I never went back to say, this is what we tried. This is what we didn't try. What about this worked? What about this didn't work? Let's really examine the details. Like none of that. It was just full steam ahead. Let me keep trying things until something works. And I think really taking the step back to say, what did we do in the last 30 days? What did we do in the last 60 days? What did we do in the last year? And really looking at those details will give you a lot of information to make the correct changes to begin to see growth and change. And so what I have tried to do, what you'll see me doing here is I'm making a to-do list, but I have actually just turned it into like a project to where it will be more like a keepsake and something that I will not throw away, because I want to be able to, at the end of the month or end of the 6 months or however long, look back over those lists and kind of compile, this is what stood out to me. This is what really worked. This is what I really think made the difference, or this is what I really think just, went left and didn't work and stuff like that. And so what I'm trying to do is make my to-do list more elaborate, because why not? I love being extra. So I am making them more elaborate. I'm making them more of a keepsake, but more importantly, I'm just basically trying to turn my productivity into a hobby, right? To make it more fun, because like I said, I'm just a natural planner. I like to do lists. I like to stay on task. And this is something I would do anyway in terms of making a to-do list. And so I'm taking the simple to-do list and just making it more fun, more exciting, more colors, more everything, so that once I check everything off, it'll be something that I don't just throw away. So what I've got is I've got my to-do list. I'm just putting in them on Post-it notes and just, colorful Post-it notes. And then I am just doing just additional, like just a summary, a quick summary written on there. And then just some washi tape to kind of to keep the Post-it notes to stay down, but also to add some more color. And so it's basically my way of, really turning productivity into something that is a bigger deal than what it's been, right? It's been traditionally, when you think of a to-do list or you think of a planner or something like that, it's really just, you're checking things off. It's like, you like the idea of being able to check things off and say, I got this done. And so it makes you feel productive. And so that's great, for going forward and for in the moment. But when you want to look back and say, what did I do? A lot of times when you're planning things from a broad standpoint. You're not planning the little details. The little details are what ends up being put on the to-do list. And it's those little details that, looking back, can really have some big insights. And so I am just kind of, turning the traditional to-do list into something that is going to be a bigger deal, so that I can keep track of not just my bigger plans, but also of the smaller details that I did to try to get to those plans, right? My big plan was I want to revamp the website, and not just the design of the website, but I actually want to revamp the products and have them be more congruent with the marketing, and messaging that I want to, put forward and speaking my customers' language. But there are so many small things that I'm putting here on this to-do list, changing the messaging on the cover, making sure that the, main product is the focal point of the cover of the image, and, changing the taglines according to the marketing. Like, these are very small details, but you never know which one of these details actually makes a difference. And if I were to just make a traditional to-do list and just check everything off, then I would have no idea what I did, right? There's nothing to go back to and look at. There's nothing to track. There's, the progress or anything like that. It's just, I had a to-do list. I threw it in the trash can. I've moved on. Right. And so that goes along with my 10th mistake, is that if I would have had, a notebook full of these at the end of the year, each year of me trying to run this business, who knows where the business would be now. So that is the 10th mistake that I made, that I am rectifying now by making this to-do list. And I'm going to be doing this going forward. Because I just think it's really important. Obviously, it wouldn't be something that you would want to do with every single part, every single thing in your life, right? There are some tasks that are just menial that, you need to write them down so you don't forget them, but it's not something that you would need to go back to. But in business specifically, it's important to just have that keepsake so that you can know what you've done and what's worked and what hasn't. And so I just wanted to develop that, way of doing things. And, it's also going to play into my physical products. So guys, be sure to stay tuned for that as well. So we are finished today with this series of the 10 mistakes that I've made in business. Moving forward, we're going to start a new series. I haven't completely decided what that series is going to be. I've got a couple things in the works and a couple of ideas, but stay tuned because we will be starting the new series tomorrow. So thank you guys so much for watching me on this journey of 10 mistakes that I have made in my business that caused my business to fail. We are fixing those mistakes and we are on the countdown to relaunch. And I thank you guys so much for watching. If you got anything out of this content, if you enjoyed the content, be sure to leave me a comment so that I can know that you enjoyed it, what part you liked the best and things like that. In the meantime, thank you guys so much for watching, for coming along with me on this journey. God bless you on your journey to freedom. I am Amanda Nicole, and I am the CEO of Freedom Through Divorce. And so I create personal development courses and ebooks and all kinds of things that are geared towards women of God who have been through divorce, who are considering divorce, and who want to move towards freedom and finding their purpose in God. So what is Freedom Through Divorce? Well, Freedom Through Divorce is actually an online school full of personal development courses for women of God who have been through divorce or who are considering divorce. Anyone who has had to deal with divorce understands that it is extremely difficult. There are so many balls that you have to juggle. Will the children be okay? Is this something that God is going to be okay with? How does it affect my relationship with God? How am I going to learn how to be independent as a new single person or a new single mom? And there's so many things you have to consider. And as a Christian, there are just so few resources out there to help you understand how to navigate those things. So this is a school that really goes from considering divorce and understanding God's views on divorce, when it's acceptable, when it's not acceptable, and understanding that there are so many more cases where God sees divorce as acceptable than what is normally taught out there. And it does it in a way that is not condescending, that's not judgmental, that is just giving you the information from God's heart. And most importantly, is from someone that's been through what you're going through. It's not just theology. It's not just, I read this or I heard this, but it's someone that's actually walked through it. So the personal development courses are meant to help you move and experience freedom through divorce, because there's so many people who they get a divorce, but they don't thrive afterwards. They stay stuck. They stay bitter. They stay telling anyone that'll listen how terrible their ex is. And that's not God's plan for you. God wants you to be able to move towards the purpose and plan that He has for your life and to thrive so that the chapter of your life post-divorce is better. That's what the word says. It says your latter days shall be greater than the former days. So that's what freedom through divorce is all about. It's personal development courses that you can take the information from a biblical perspective and experiencing God's freedom, His prosperity, His love, His joy, His peace, all of the fruits of the Spirit and the blessings that He sent His Son to die for you to be able to have. Just because you've had to go through a divorce does not mean that you are negated from the promises that God has for you. So that's what freedom through divorce is. If you're interested in learning more, visit our school today.